everybody, it's Rain, and in today's video I'm going to show you a wonderful use for your alpaca thirds. These dryer balls right here are made entirely out of alpaca thirds, and today I'm going to show you the entire process from picking through your thirds all the way up to making a dryer ball with them. So let's get started. These are the tools you will need. You need your fiber, your alpaca thirds of course. The digital scale is optional, but I like to use it for accuracy. A pair of knee-high pantyhose, or just one. 2 dog slicker brushes, or if you don't have dog slicker brushes, you can always use hand cards. I would prefer using hand cards, but I don't have any at the moment, so the dog slicker brushes will do. You will also need hand soap and hot and cold water. I'm going to show you a little bit about picking through your thirds and what to look for and what you want and what you don't want. This right here is guard hair. As you can see, it's shiny and it looks almost like horsehair. That is the stuff you want to look for and throw away. Let me know if you have any uses for it, because I haven't found any uses for guard hair or the really thick hair like that. Here's some good fiber that we can use. I just look for any guard hairs or anything more shiny or thicker in diameter that will not felt. Guard hairs do not felt very well, and they will shed in your finished product. I have a bag right there that I'm putting my good fiber in. Here's some wonderful fiber. This is great for alpaca dryer balls. The tips are a little too dirty, but with the washing process we'll get all that out. Here's some more good fiber. It doesn't matter how short it is. Now right here is a good example of showing the two. On the left you can see it is very thick and coarse like human hair, and on the right it is a lot more dense and fine, and it will felt. It's a lot better quality. So I just pick through, pull any little guard hairs out I can find. If you have 1 or 2 in there, that's okay. You can pick it out later on in the process, or 1 or 2 in there is going to be just fine. Don't worry about it too much. Just break it up the best you can for the washing process, which is next. So my favorite ivory clear dish soap is going into a basin of lukewarm water, not hot, not cold, just lukewarm, about room temperature. And I have my fiber, my alpaca thirds, in a mesh laundry bag. I'm going to submerge that. And I'm actually not going to let this first wash soak at all. I'm not too worried about getting this really clean, because the next steps that we do, we're going to be washing it again with soap, and that'll take out any remaining dirt or anything that's in there. You don't have to scour this. It doesn't have lanolin. You just want to get the majority of that dirt out. Remember, always use a bucket to get all of that dirty water out so you don't hurt your back. I'm going to take it out and pull it apart. Remember, this first wash didn't soak at all. Just pull it all apart and get it nice and opened up so that it can get more of the dirt. Now we're going to add about the same amount of soap, the same water, lukewarm. Swish that around and submerge it, and this time I'm going to let it soak for about 20 minutes. Here is our finished dried fiber. It took about 2 days laid out on a towel to dry. Pull out any little guard hairs you can find. They should be a little easier to see now. And I like to use a technique called palming. This is absolutely not necessary, because next we're going to be carding it. And I'll just pull a piece of fiber by the staple length and lay it in my palm. Pull a piece of fiber, lay it in my palm, just like that. And that gets the majority of the staple lengths all lined up. It makes it a little easier on me to card, and it also makes it easier for me to store. You can store it like it is in the video here, just in a bag, or you can keep it in a Ziploc bag and store it like this, so that all of the staple lengths are lined up, and you can just grab a handful like so and just start loading them onto your cards. So here we have our 2 dog slicker brushes. I like to get the ones that have a little bit of a wider surface so we can get a bigger piece of fiber to use. And I just start loading them on using the tip of my thumb to hold the tip of the staple down. And I like to go at an angle like this, and it just kind of grabs the fiber and puts it right on there. Please be careful if you do use your thumb to help the fibers stay on, because these dog slicker brushes are pretty sharp. Now I'm going to take my other one and I'm going to line the tip of the brush in my right hand up with the bottom of this brush in my left hand, tip here to tip to the bottom there, and I'm going to rock it in a downward motion just like so. And that is going to push the fiber down into the comb a little bit more, and it will expose more of the little needles that are on the dog slicker brush, and we're going to add some more on. And you don't want to overload them. Just add a nice even amount all the way across the dog slicker brush. We are going to start carding. You always start at the very tips of the fiber and the very tip of your other hand card and start working your way downward. And as you can see, I'll use a rocking motion, and that will help card the last little bit of fiber that is left on your left hand comb. Our goal here is to get all the fiber off of our left hand comb, just like so. Now I find that if I switch hands right now and start going in and combing again on the same side, it produces a less uniform roll-log than if I do this technique. So you turn your brush over with the fiber on it, and you want to line up the two tops, and you want to rock it back, the fiber back onto the other one, just like that. And then use the technique I previously mentioned to roll back and get it pushed down onto the needles of your left hand card. And this way, this makes a nice even fiber blend on your dog slicker brushes. Now I do want to say, none of this is really necessary. You don't have to do any of this. You can go in with uncarded fiber and make these dryer balls, but I like to do it this way because it makes a much more uniform dryer ball and it just looks a lot nicer. So I just pull that up and roll it off just like you would a roll log. It doesn't matter. You can just jerk it off of there. You don't even have to roll it up. It's not important because we're going to put it all together and make a dryer ball. I'm going to weigh out 25 grams, and that will make a little bit smaller than a 3x3 dryer ball. This would also work wonderful for felting little animals or anything like that. You can just dye these little roll logs like this and make you some wonderful felt. So please don't throw away your thirds. I am a big believer in using all the fiber. So we're going to roll that up, and I'm just going to roll it up and cover up any little holes or gaps with the next piece that I use. So I'm going to kind of do it like if you had two C's, you want to kind of interlock the two C's together. So one over the top horizontally and then one over the sides vertically. And I'll definitely stretch that fiber out to get it to start pulling apart more. And if you have any very particularly VM-y pieces, use those for the inside because you don't want to have to worry about all the VM on the outside of it. Try to pick out any VM you can now that's on the surface because you will have to remove it later. Keep it in a nice tight ball, and we're going to shove it down in our pantyhose all the way to the bottom, and I'm pushing it down to try and keep any fiber from going up into our knot that we're going to tie. Get a nice grip, and then I'll twist it and I will tie a knot. And if you grab the loop and you kind of pull the knot through, you can tighten it all the way down to where the ball is. Just like that. And we are ready to start felting and make us a dryer ball. And also, I can fit 4 of these 25 gram dryer balls in this one pantyhose, so you can make potentially 8 at a time with a pair. So I'm starting out with just lukewarm water. So just squeeze all the water through it and get it all the way saturated. I'm going to add about 3 pumps of my favorite hand soap. I have not noticed the hand soap does leave a slight scent on the dryer ball itself, but it will not transfer to your laundry. So I like to do the 2 R's and the S. Roll, rub, and squeeze for our felted dryer balls. And I've rolled, rubbed, and squeezed for about 5 minutes, and now I'm going to put on some hot water, as hot as my hands can take. And we're going to rinse that and squeeze and rub and roll under there as much as we can. And squeeze it really hard as you can, because that'll get that hot water all the way down and it'll start felting those fibers on the inside. And that's what we want. That's what's going to harden up your dryer ball. So I'll probably do this for about 2 or 3 minutes more under the hot water. And then I'm going to switch it to cold water. Now I have cold water and we're going to shock it. So we're going to shove it under there and quickly roll it, rub it, squeeze it really fast. As fast as we can under that cold water, and make sure that you keep the round shape. As you can see, I'm constantly keeping the round shape so that we don't lose it. And I'll pull the knot out a little bit at the top, just like that, so that it doesn't get stuck down in there. I'm going to add my soap once again, and we're going to start rubbing, squeezing, and rolling for about another 5 minutes. This whole process took 15 minutes total. And now when we get toward the end, after you feel that the inside is quite firm, you really want to start squeezing a lot more. You want to rub it to get the outside felted and squeeze it to start getting the inside felted. And that'll harden it up. And I just rinsed it off in lukewarm water that last time. We're going to go ahead and take it out. See what we got. Oh my goodness, looky there. We got us a tail. And that's okay. That probably happens about 1 or 2 out of every 4 that I make. You'll have a tail. And you can stretch it out a little bit like I tried to do here and rub it down. But usually we can just cut it off and you won't even be able to tell you had it. I got about 2 more pumps of our hand soap, and we are going to squeeze, rub, and roll for another 5 minutes. And we're essentially going to do the same thing. We're going to shock the fiber once again. Really hot water, squeeze, rub, and roll. And I'm just going to set it there and let it get nice and hot. Make sure you squeeze it as hard as you can to get it nice and hard. The stronger and more durable it'll be, the harder you squeeze it. I just switched to cold, and then I'm going to get in there and really, really rough it up under that cold water. That cold water shocks it, and it instantly felts those fibers. So the more that you rough it up, the more fiber is going to be felted. And that way you can make it in about 15 minutes, and it's not too hard. Then I like to roll it in a ball, give it a couple more good squeezes, and you have to squeeze all the soap out as best you can. Just keep squeezing over and over till there's no more bubbles. And this is sped up, and you can see how long it actually took me to get all of the bubbles out. It takes quite a bit to get the bubbles out. And we are done. It's ready for its little haircut. We're going to cut that tail off. And I'm going to give it a little rub just to fluff up any of the hairs and any of the VM. And I'm going to take my tweezers and I'm going to meticulously pick out any little pieces of VM or discoloration that is on the surface that I wouldn't want someone to see. Some people don't want to see that VM in there, even though this is a farm animal product. So I like to go through and pick it all out. That's why I card my fiber and make sure that it's pretty clean before it goes into the pantyhose to be made into a dryer ball. So I'll just pull all those little pieces out the best I can, and then give it another little roll. And I'm going to take my scissors and give it a little haircut. Just go around and trim any of those long hairs that are sticking up. This isn't really necessary if you're okay with it, but I do like to give it a haircut. I feel that it keeps any of those long hairs from shedding or anything like that. It really finishes it off nicely, and it's not as fuzzy. It's just a personal choice. I feel that it finishes it off quite nicely. And here is our finished dryer ball. Absolutely love how they turn out using this technique, and feel free to use any of the techniques mentioned in this video to make some felt with your alpaca thirds, or you could use it with regular fiber if you'd like. This should work with wool and regular alpaca blankets and anything like that. This one is a little lighter because it's already dry. The darker one is still wet. It takes about 2 days to dry in a spot with low humidity. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Comment if you're going to use any of these techniques. And don't forget to subscribe to me, Rain Fiber Arts on YouTube, and check out my Etsy shop, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. All right, and here is our finished dryer ball.